Alright, so here I have a brand new scene. X, delete this out. Set my preferences to Maya. And I have a thing in here you need to paint. So we're going to be importing away from an object. This is located in the assets folder. This assets folder is going to be along with the DVD or online next to the video. So I have it on my hard drive. In the assets directory, I have this. I have buildings, canopies, fire escapes, everything. So we're going to look at inside of the building. So here we have the interior of the building. This is so in-game, light doesn't pass through it. So you can see right here, I can see right through the world and that palette on the other side. We're not developing an in level or a level inside the building. We're just using the building as an aesthetically pleasing thing and building it up inside a game engine to look at it, see what things mean. So that means I do have to have this in order, so my end scene doesn't have this big, huge, empty void inside the building. Now, let me show you something. If you go to edit mode, hit A, down below I have normals. Okay, notice my normals are facing on the inside. Okay, these little sticks are normals. That means this is an interior structure, and anytime they are pointing on the outside, it's an exterior structure. So flip direction, now this would be a building. Flip it again, it's the inside of a building. Unfortunately, Blender is like one of these programs that, you can get inside this mesh, but it's really hard to paint like that. So I'm going to flip them so they're on the outside, paint it, and then flip it back. I'm just going to keep those face normals on so I remember that. Now I've done something for you, me and my students. I made an assignment. I said, students, you will make brushes for Blender. And they're like, oh, okay. So they did this in an hour, and their mission was to create 9 or 10 brushes. And with the idea of stone, steel, plastic, and miscellaneous. So now I'm sharing this with everybody else. Here's the URL. You have to type it exactly like this, even the index period PHP. Okay, so I don't know why the PHP won't load automatically, but just type it all in just like that. And then you have Blender brushes. And each student made their own brush set. I'm just going to go to brush set 10. And I'm looking around. And I'm looking for something that would add up to be a wall noise texture. That might work. To more like an asphalt. That's kind of weird. This would probably work, so I'm going to use this. I see it has a halo on the outside though. That means it wasn't constructed correctly. I'm going to use this one instead. So if I click one more time in it, it's a PNG file. PNGs are neat in the fact that they support a transparency. So I'm going to save this image as, and I started this thing on my computer, and I'm going to live by it. Under my pictures, I have textures, and I'm going to put anything that I download here. Oops. call this wall underscore 2. Alright, now if I go back to Blender, go like this. Image new. Inside building. There we go. And I'm just going to go into paint mode. And go get that brush. Open. Now, it's kind of tricky to get to that stupid directory, so I don't know why I did that. So, users, admin, pictures, textures, there's wall underscore 1. I'll use that. That's the same thing. It's just that one with the halo. You get the idea. Now, for the texture, this one is going to be called wall. So now it is located over here called wall. And you can see that it makes these. So what I'm going to do is turn down that. So now it makes just color. And what I also like to do is I'm going to adjust this curve a little bit. I didn't cover that before. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit more. And what that'll do, it'll fade it out. So now, instead of using its full effect, it's only using this part right here. So it makes a nice drop off. Now this is just the interior of the building, so not really too worried about, what it looks like, but I do want some kind of resolution and maybe look like surface paint. So this is how I just make a noise. I'm just clicking rapidly throughout here. I don't want to click and drag because then it blurs. And again, if you want to do this faster, you can go over here, hold shift. I'm going to match the size for my brush and click here. So you can see I could just click in here. But the minute I zoom out and then make my brush bigger, they're probably not going to be the same size bump. So this allows me to paint it to scale of the texture. We go to stroke. I want to turn my spacing up a little bit. That way, if I do drag by accident, it's not ruining it. And if I set this on jitter, it'll paint a little bit more of the area. So that's how I just make a noisy wall interior texture. And I'll take my time at this because I can use this texture over and over for other things. You'll find that out too. Just like reusable assets are important, so is reusable textures. I think what would be nice if they had a fill command based upon brush size. Just a hint, people that develop Blender. Because then you could do silly things like this. Now I'm not done yet. Actually, this is my kind of first coat. This is my texture part of it. After I lay down my texture, I'll wash it back just a little bit. Alright, there we go. And now to wash it back, I just hit the X. I go to the strength and lower it all the way down. I click here and grab a piece of that. Brighten it just a little bit. Then make my brush really big. Click a couple times. And this what it'll do, it'll wash that back just a little bit so it's not so contrasty. And there we go. We got my interior. And I'll be able to go in here now to edit mode and flip the normals. And now it looks like this. Pretty much to scale. Might be a little bit smaller. Could stand to be a little bit smaller. But again, this is going to be what happens if I look into that window. Now, of course, this gets saved in your work in progress directory. And from here, I'm pretty sure you know what to do. So, in the next video, meet me there.